So we are here today with J.R. O'Brien, who is going to tell us all about the wonderful world of words. Alliteration not intended. I'm having a day. Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're working on at the moment.
Okay, obviously I'm an author. I on the side do edits for people who I really, really love because I actually hate editing. I'm a full-time mom and I'm the slave to 6 cats and a snake.
6 cats and a snake.
Yes.
All right then.
Weird combination, I'm aware. Let's see, I'm working on Behind the Mask, which is the second book in the Christiana Aramis vampire novel series. Yeah. Chris and her contingent are hosting the West Coast Grand Gala this year, and all hell is breaking loose. There is a mass murderer on the loose. Yeah. And
problematic.
And instead of sending an emissary, her father has shown up himself, and she hasn't seen him in 20 years, and so she's having major oh god, daddy hates me issues.
Bad day, gosh.
Yeah, if it can go wrong, it's going wrong. You know, the pool flooded, the feeding service that usually feeds the vampires called off at the last minute. Mass murder on the loose, so security is doubled everywhere.
And it's probably Tuesday.
Exactly.
Yep. Yep. Oh, bummer. I presume things end okay?
Eventually.
Eventually. Oh, good. How long is this series?
Well, this is book 2, and I'm looking at about 18 to 20 books.
18 to 20. Wow. Wow. Have you planned out all of your books, or are you just thinking, yeah, I like that number?
No, I have a general idea of what each book is going to do, and the more I write, the more my characters are like, hey, here's this really awesome idea. I'm going to give you this now.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
So same characters throughout?
Yes.
Okay, then. Okay, then that'll
with
be
random tidbits in there that, yeah.
That'll keep you busy for a while.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Alrighty, so you're working on book 2. How is that going?
It's been a fight. Because I'm at a point in the book where I know what needs to happen. The characters all need to know what happened, and there's this chapter that does not want to be written because it's the pinnacle of like everything that's coming together. This is a big shiny thing, and the shiny thing doesn't want to tell me what's happening.
Oh no!
So I know everything up to that point and everything after that point, and this one chapter hates me.
And you can't skip the chapter. You're like me and have to write linear.
Yeah, I refuse. I'm like, no, this is it has to. Words must happen.
Oh no! So what do? Do you have like magical tricks to get the words onto the paper, like beating the computer with a leak or something?
Actually, I have music that I listen to for each character that I write, and I have an entire playlist for the Grand Gala. And so I've been listening to this playlist like over and over on a daily basis to the point that my entire household is like, enough, no more, please, we're begging you.
Yeah. Oops. I mean, well, headphones, maybe?
Headphones.
Yeah.
Headphones are my friend, but I have a 12-year-old who's like, hey, Mom, guess what I did today? And I'm like, I'm writing.
Yeah, I could see how that would be problematic. And I imagine the 6 cats are not terribly helpful either.
No, because at least 3 of them on a regular basis want to be on my keyboard.
Yeah, I understand that one. I mean, it's like, okay, yes, let's put this here, something you absolutely cannot sit on because you're working, obviously, and there they are.
Yes.
And the snake, does the snake get involved?
Shin likes to be wrapped around me whenever he can, and I'm warm, and snakes like warm, and Shin is easy to type around. He just chills and, does his own thing, and every once in a while shifts around, but no.
Okay, so how is book 1?
Cold Crypt Cellars. So this started as a hobby-ish sort of thing. I was like, I think maybe I'll turn this into a book. Sure. And what started out as a D&D character, yes, I'm that much of a geek.
I love geeks are taking over the world.
Turned into this centuries-old vampire who runs a winery and ends up in Columbus for a wine convention and has a love spell cast on her and the head werewolf of the greater Columbus area. And she keeps like going, I'm not supposed to like be into this guy. Like I've got people at home and I've got people with me that I really care about, and every time she sees him she's just like, ah. And it's totally out of character for my vampire to even like hint at emotions. And every time he comes in the room, she just goes stupid. I mean, like 14-year-old girl with first crush, stupid.
Oh, these poor characters.
And a lot of stuff happens. There's a couple very adult scenes. But there's her arch nemesis at the convention too, and one of the lines is Christiana makes a comment about his girlfriend being a strumpet, and he starts back that she's not a crumpet. She goes something along the lines of, I called her a strumpet, not a crumpet. One you drink or one you eat with your tea, the other one you sleep with, you idiot.
Well, I mean, if you're serious about your crumpets, you never know.
Right? But it's a lot of snark, it's a lot of humor, it's a lot of adult humor, and a lot of pop culture humor. One of the lines, they're walking down the hall, and the person leading the group says never, or don't go that way, and the entire group chimes in, never go that way. So I mean, there's little snippets in there that like are personal humor that if you don't get my humor, you'll totally be like, okay, this writer is strange. And if you get my humor, you're like, oh my god, that's the greatest thing.
Yeah, okay. So you're probably taking all of these, normal things in these books, although to be fair, none of it's ever normal, and then saying, let's just add some snark.
Yes, pretty much.
Fantastic. Absolutely my speed. So, I was going to ask a question, but that would be spoilers, and you can't tell me spoilers, but darn.
No. You can ask.
I mean, I was going to say, does it turn out well? Does she ever stop acting like a stupid 14-year-old?
She does, but it doesn't turn out well. In fact, it has a really horrifically violent end to the whole tryst thing. And it actually ends up putting her entire life and, like, her world, like, on the line for it. It's, yeah. In the end, it works out in her favor, but yeah, it's bad.
And then book 2.
And then book 2, yes.
All right then, and they're on the West Coast, so
yes.
California, Washington, Oregon,
Central Coast, California.
Okay. All right. Sounds like a crazy time.
It is, but it's fun.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about this whole winery convention lifestyle, because it sounds like you've got your vampire, or somewhat, at least integrated into the real world.
Yes. So vampire shapeshifters, magical practitioners, and fae, which are otherworldly, literally like completely from a separate reality, are all common knowledge. Mm-hmm. They're out in the world. They're somewhat of a novelty because, well, ooh, shiny, different. Companies have actually created a vampire feeding service where you can, like, call them up and order dinner. For a price.
Well, yes, I'd like a tall, dark, and handsome, thanks.
Tall, dark, handsome, typo negative, on the full moon. Sure, absolutely. Why not?
All right, then.
They specialize in feeding vampires. Whatever your favorite dish is, they probably have it on hand for a very special fee.
Well, yeah, I was going to say it must cost a pretty penny.
Yes. But everybody's, the supernatural world is out and about and part of public view, and there's now clubs that specialize in the supernatural, and Christiana's family started a winery in the 1600s, back when California was still part of Mexico, and the missions had just started being built, and she went to Europe for a couple hundred years with her father and came back. The winery was still thriving. She bought it. She's been running Cold Crypt Cellars for a couple hundred years now, and she's
probably doing pretty well.
Doing very well. She's the female head of the West Coast Vampire Coalition. She's kind of the go-to person for the supernatural community in the area.
Mm-hmm.
So, going to conventions and things like that. She's really, she's terrible at modern tech.
I mean, yes, if you grew up in the 1600s, it might be a little bit problematic to understand, okay, phone, you push buttons and things.
So a couple of her people have this running joke of changing her ringtones without telling her. And so she never knows what's going to come out of her phone. And so it's always like, answer the thing, yes.
Caller ID.
Caller ID, yeah. But modern things like key or card keys for hotel rooms, she's like, just, you make it work. I can't do it. You do it. Make it happen. She's, in a lot of ways, she's really still stuck in the 1600s, and in other ways, she's so modern it's not funny. She loves jeans and t-shirts, but she can't figure out how to use a card key.
I mean, to be fair, some days I'm pretty incapable with technology.
I feel that. Some days I'm like, it's a screen in my hand, and I have access to all the world's knowledge. Sure.
Yes. Yep. Okay, so moving a little bit sideways into the realm of paranormal fantasy fiction, is there one that you wish you had written? Someone's ability in story writing that you'd like to steal?
Oh, God, that's so hard. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a conglomeration here. I want Brandon Sanderson's speed.
Mm-hmm.
Because a man puts books out this thick every, 6 months. I'm in awe.
Yeah, I wish.
I want Brandon Sanderson's speed, Jim Butcher's world building, and Laurel K's ability to be like, here, have all this danger and everything, and enough smut to keep you entertained.
Okay, then. I like that combination. That sounds like huge amounts of trouble.
Yes.
Yeah, no, if I could write a book, that big every 6 months or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your writing process look like these days?
When I have spare time is what it looks like. I try to get about 2,000 words done a night, which sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't, and sometimes I hit 20K. Yeah. That's on the I've drank 2 Monsters and a couple of Voltage and a protein shake and I forgot to sleep last night.
Wow. Please tell me it was coherent.
Most of it.
Well, there you go. Wow, that's impressive. Gosh, 20K in a night. I'm jealous. Okay.
It's a little intense.
Yeah, I imagine. Wow. Okay, then. So then how long does it take you to get your book sorted out, your characters dealt with?
Once the book's... it takes me about 8 months to, actually get everything sorted, and then I'm looking at, 3 months of editing, because I want... Well, I send it to my alpha readers, and they go, yeah, you totally missed this huge chunk. And I fix that, and then I send it to my beta readers to go... Yeah, this isn't a thing. And then I sent it to my editor, who goes, "Oh no, not again."
It's quite the process there.
Yeah, but it works.
Yeah, no kidding. Do you have a least favorite part? And I include the entire start to money in your bank process.
um, the hardest part for me is like final line and copy edits. Like I've gotten it down to exactly how I want it. This is it. I'm content with where everything sits, and I send it out for that last edit, and I cringe waiting for it to come back, like that 3-week period where I'm just like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. And it'll always come back like, hey, you missed this punctuation, or your chapter heading here was off, or whatever, and I'm just like,
oh no. Yeah, like, those random words that I'm sure I read this over about 10 times and it was correct.
Or my personal favorite, you spelled your main character's name wrong in chapter 3. I did what?
Okay, that one's pretty impressive.
I was just like, okay.
What was it with the entire chapter 3?
No, I wrote Christiana's name, and I usually, when other people are talking to her, it's Chris, Krys, and for whatever reason, I like 4 times spelt Chris, Cris, and I'm just like, how did I miss this?
You were speaking German for a short period of time.
Right?
That's great. Okay, so after the editing stage, then you find your cover artist, yeah? Or do you do the cover before?
I usually do cover about halfway through. When I've got a good idea of what I'm doing with the book, where I want to be, I get a hold of my cover artist, and I'm like, hey, haha, guess what we're doing?
So how do you go about designing a cover or coming up with ideas for it? Because I am pretty incompetent on the graphic design scale, and so I leave it up to other people.
So I am beyond incompetent on graphic design, which is hilarious, but I have a really amazing cover artist, and we sit down and go, okay, so this is the book, and this is kind of what we want to go with, and we want this feel, and they're like, okay, so here's like 22 ideas that I came up with. And I'm like, okay, so like I like 4 of those, and so we'll take those 4 and we'll be like, I like this aspect, that aspect, and that aspect, and we'll blend those, and then it'll be like, well, can we take out this one thing because that one thing just looks weird, and we keep playing with it until we get down to like a concept. The cover for Cold Crypt Cellars is a wine glass of blood splashing over the edge, and there's a female silhouette in the blood splashing over the edge, if you know what you're looking at. So if you don't, like, at first glance, it's like, oh, it's a glass of red wine. And you're like, wait a minute, that's a vampire novel, and that's blood. And is that a female body?
Yeah, there was, no one was harmed in the making of this cover. Something.
Yeah.
That's great. Wow. Okay, so what do you edit out of your novels? Do you have to, like, delete entire characters? I've done that.
I've never had to delete an entire character. I do end up deleting a lot of the extraneous, like, info dump. Like, you really don't need to know how long the shag carpet is type stuff. Like, I need to know because I'm writing it. But once it's, like, down, I'm just like, right, that's gotta go. I try to take out the extraneous details that nobody actually cares about it except me because it's my world building.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad about that too.
I also try to take out a lot of my main character's like internal thought process when she's like sitting in the background while everybody else is doing stuff and she's going, and I'm going to twiddle my thumbs, and I wonder what he tastes like. No. What am I going to wear to the ball tonight? I don't know. I don't want to go to the ball tonight. Should I go to the ball tonight? Am I going to the ball tonight? Hey, author, am I going to the ball tonight?
Okay, so your characters talk to you.
Yes.
No self-inserts, though, in the story. No, omniscient narrator saying, character, do this.
I haven't done that yet.
Well, you have, 18 books to go.
Yeah. When I'm starting out, like my initial notes are things like you will go do the thing or this character is going to do XYZ, and
Mm-hmm.
by the time it gets to book format, it's like the character is walking along doing da 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 da, and oh wait, I kind of need to remove that. The character strode bravely forward into the fire, whatever. Uh,
Into the fire? Are you
yes,
sure that was
and
a good idea?
they did.
Yeah, always fun. Okay, so how are you going to do 18 novels? And are you going to keep a consistent time period? Are you going to move along with modern technology as it advances, or is it just kind of mildly referencing the world, or are we actually in the world?
So we're actually in the world, and I'm moving along as technology progresses, and Christiana will kind of evolve as the world revolves around her. Her world evolves around her, and modern science catches up with the supernatural, and uh, forensics teams and whatnot catch up with things like, no, really, you can't drain a human body unless you've got like 18 vampires feeding. Um,
Well,
I
I
mean, you
mean,
can,
good,
but
but
a vampire feeding in an appropriate way is not going to kill a full-grown man.
right.
Um, I mean, the vampire could easily just go snap and they're dead, but and things like the Fae really are not human with magical abilities. They're the Fae, and they're really not ever gonna be even close to human, and trying to contain them by human laws is just a joke.
Okay, that I want to know more about.
So the Fae they're very ethereal, otherworldly, extremely powerful. Uh, Kind of the generic idea of fairy where they can't lie,
Okay.
but they're very, very, very good about tiptoeing around the truth.
Ooh.
And they're also like really, really, really powerful, and their magic is nothing compared to anything on Earth. So, like, their emotions affect their magic. So, if one character, um, they're in a battle scene and she gets really pissed off. And she starts levitating and she's like glowing, and everybody's just like slowly backing away, going, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. And like one of the other characters is like, Morgan, 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 down, down, breathe, down. And she's like, ah, and she like releases this energy wave, and I was just like, oh no, we're going to die. And it just kind of like washes over them. And she comes down and she's like, I'm sorry, I'm PMSing. You know?
Oh, okay then. Wow. Okay, yes. Oh, evil overlords, please don't hurt me. Wow.
Yes. But for the most part, they walk around and they look like, kind of punk-ish, everyday people. And one of the running jokes is they don't have pointy ears. You want pointy ears? Go see a plastic surgeon.
Instead, they're just punk.
The two main fake characters in my series are twins, and they've got matching mohawks that go down their back, and like 12 piercings per ear, and they're they're edgy and punk, and it's kind of like their own culture of what they are. Like they
I like,
define their own punk
sure.
aesthetic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be understandable for them to have, punk style authority issues, considering they can kind of do pretty much whatever
Anything?
they want.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, how does crime work if the Fae aren't really bound by our laws?
So
Are they the mob?
uh, back in the story world, about around the Dark Ages,
Mm-hmm.
the shapeshifters, vampires, and magic practitioners all got into a massive fight,
Oops.
and they kind of had this, I'm going to kill you, you're going to kill me, we're going to kill each other, and have it out brawl. So the Fae kind of like sat back to see who would win. And when they realized that like they were going to wipe out all of Europe with this fight, the Fae stepped in and said, okay, we're done. You all need to sit down and figure stuff out.
Uh-huh.
And so the Fae, the magical practitioners, the vampires, and the shapeshifters all sat down and wrote out a code of laws that pertain to how they interact with humanity, how they interact with each other in each group, and how everybody's like intergroup workings have to stay out of like human politics and everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. They sound like cats. Sentient cats.
Kind of, yes.
Interesting. I like it. That's fantastic. Ooh, this is going to be fun to read.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have any plans for a different series, or are you just going to stick with the one for now since it's going to take a while?
So my side project is erotica.
Okay.
And I'm working on a 5 mini story anthology.
Uh-huh.
So
is this just erotica, or is this like paranormal / erotica?
It's paranormal.
Okay, cool.
So you still have your supernatural characters, your vampires, your shapeshifters, but a little more smut than I normally put in my books.
Go for it.
But it's totally a side project. It's something I'm doing for the fun of it, not anything I really like am pushing.
Mm-hmm. So how is putting words blah blah blah? How is putting together an anthology going?
It's fun actually. I'm enjoying it.
Is it because I mean I'm not very good at anthologies. Do they require like themes running through, or are you just saying yes, these are all the same genre and therefore I'm going to put them together?
No, it has to have a consistent theme, and for this one it's things that go bump in the night, which is a total play on words given that it's erotica. But it's kind of, succubi sneaking in the window and vampires seducing you out of the shadows, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Fascinating. Sounds like you're causing huge amounts of trouble.
No, not at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, you've got sentient cats ruling the world with, several 100-year-old winery owners in California, which... Okay, question. This is somewhat relevant to California. How do you deal with the fact that most of California is often on fire?
So I actually grew up in California and I've been used to California being on fire. And so where this world is mostly located in California, they actually have to deal with the fires. And so they, like, part of the winery is set up like with sprinkler systems and everything, and Christiana actually donates to like firefighters funds and stuff. Like the entire winery like has a whole firefighters fund that they host every year and everything. So I've kind of integrated it into the world. Like I want as much reality as possible.
Which is very cool because oftentimes, at least in my experience, I've seen on books set in California that kind of forget the fact that it has a few problems.
Earthquakes, fires, nothing.
Okay, very fun. So, all right, incorporating reality as much as possible. I like it. How much research does that involve?
A lot. I probably spend more time on research than I do on anything else.
Oh, yeah?
Well, researching winemaking techniques from the 1600s.
Oh, my. Imagine that was fun.
Actually, it was a blast. I learned a lot of things. I learned about hybridization of grapes and how to get sugar content in your wine, and yeah.
Wow. So you could make wine?
I probably could.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I never knew I wanted to know type thing. Also, firefighting techniques and how do you maintain like this burn area versus letting it spread, or
Right.
what techniques are used in these regions to prevent these things from happening. And so a lot of it goes into making sure that I have the exact like timing down and locations down and techniques down, because I don't want somebody reading it and going, that's not how that works.
I've done that. Not the that's not how that works, but the how do I think I'm just gonna wing it and see what happens.
I've also done the win it, let's see what happens, and had it come in back and bite me in the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you would think with a fictional novel you'd have a little bit of leeway, and people were like, well, now, I live there, and I know that it's more than a 45-minute drive. I'm like, it was a general number, people.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, that is the problem with writing sort of the paranormal urban fantasy sort of thing, because you have the real world to deal with, whereas in not real world, you can bend the laws of physics if you so choose.
Yeah, and
Oh,
there's one of my feline overlords.
that's a cat.
Kate, what are you doing?
Sorry, I just all of a sudden there was a cattail.
Yeah, you're fine.
Any tips or tricks for people getting into the industry, or things that they should avoid at all cost?
Ah ha 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 ha. Um, don't pay for publishing is my big one. Pay your editors.
Mm-hmm.
Love your alpha and beta teams. Worship
Mm-hmm.
the ground they walk on. They are your
Mm-hmm.
best friends. But honestly, no, if you're gonna write, sit down and write. Don't question it. Don't play with it. Put the words on the page. Don't look back. Wait until you've got your story down. And once you have that first draft, then you can tear it to shreds.
Mm-hmm.
But, get the words on the page. And honestly, somebody out there is waiting for your story. Somebody out there is waiting for your book. It is the book they've been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't know it until they read it. So put it out there. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You put a book out and you don't get any reviews. Okay, fine. Best case scenario, you put a book out and you suddenly have 200 followers who are like, where's the next one? Um, some of the best advice I've gotten is get the words on the page and don't look back, and really just, go with it. If you've got an idea, put it out there. And it doesn't have to be in vogue or the thing of the year. It might be the thing of next year, or it might be the thing of next month. You never know.
Mm-hmm. I'd say that's pretty worthwhile, because honestly, if you're writing the book, you need to actually write the book.
Right.
Otherwise, problems.
That, and write for yourself, don't write for anybody else. Like, if you're not doing it for yourself, then why are you doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. Write the book you want to read.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Because chances are, out of all of the many people on the planet, someone is going to like the same things you do.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's a good advice. I like that. Is there anything else you'd like to add, writing related or otherwise?
Not off the top of my head. Cold Crypt Sellers is out on all digital platforms and will be available through Amazon and Books to Read in paperback the end of November.
Ooh. Just in time for the holidays.
Yeah. Behind the Mask should be out in digital platforms the end of March. For anybody that actually cares. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at JR Firedancer, fire with a Y. You can find me on Facebook, author JR O'Brien. And if you look up Christiana Aramis, there is a fan group page. So,
woohoo! Very exciting.
Other than that, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It was great fun talking with you. I'm very eager to read your book because it sounds fascinating. I mean, anyone who has problems with technology.
Well, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy Christiana's world, and watch out for Behind the Mask, because hopefully it'll be out soon.
Yes. Ooh, how exciting.